Internet, we have a ton of awesome news to talk about today, covering a broad swath of Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Indie Comics, all sorts of goodness. It is a very comic-centric episode today, and is lots and lots of good news. I'm very excited to be here with you. Hope you're doing well. It is approaching the middle of October somehow, inexplicably. We're already there. Today we're going to be talking about that Invincible trailer. We're going to be talking about Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3 and the multi-dimensional Sinister Six meets Spider-Verse ramifications and why Spider-Man can't really be Spider-Man in the MCU. We're going to be talking about The Boys Season 2 finale and the whole season, but all spoiler-free. I will do my best to avoid spoilers. We're going to be mainly talking about the themes and the elements of the show that reflect the comics and our world, but avoiding any details that might ruin the show for you. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff and the fact that WW84 is sticking to theaters. But let's kick it off with the Doctor Strange news, because this is probably the news with the biggest ramifications. Now, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, for my money, is effectively a sequel to WandaVision, wherein Wanda manifests Vision as an imaginary concept that, when is proven to be imaginary, shatters her reality and splits the dimensions up through her innate, incredible power, very much like a House of M or one of the other storylines where Scarlet Witch shatters reality with her own. That, I think, is going to set off the Multiverse of Madness to come with Doctor Strange. That, I think, will have lasting ramifications all throughout Phase 4, including a potential Spider-Verse. Now, there have been many talks about a live-action Spider-Verse since the animated one got an Oscar, since it did exceedingly well, since it was arguably the best Spider-Man movie, for my money, to date. There's been a lot of talk about live-action Spider-Verse. Now, I keep seeing things online like, why do you need a live-action one? Money. People want to see Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. People want to see these characters they love come back, and people also want to see something of that scope. I tweeted out that everything is an Avengers level now, which is a very dangerous precedent. I think it's really important we have our Deadpools and our Deadpool 1 and our Logans and our more contained films so that we can work up to these giant event films. And I think the TV side is going to be a lot of that. I think the lot more controlled, contained, long-form character building is going to be happening on Disney+, and then the movies are going to be your annuals, your events, and all these things. Now, I've talked about all that before. Doctor Strange being confirmed for Spider-Man 3 pretty much confirms what we talked about last Friday. The last show where there's Electro in the graphic, I have no sense of what time is. I think it was a week ago today. Electro was announced or rumored and then softly confirmed by a now deleted Instagram post, was going to be back and not Blue, leading me to believe that Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro, but Electro from a different dimension. Through that dimension, you could easily have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, whatever you want to do. Through this concept, you could easily have all of these movies come together, and you could have Doctor Strange be the one that is a mentor role for Spider-Man, a la Iron Man. Now, Iron Man's gone. Iron Man has effectively become the Uncle Ben to the MCU. I think Doctor Strange is going to become the mentor that he is sometimes in the comics. They are a fun duo to team up. Some of my favorite stuff is the John Romita Jr. Drawn stuff, like them just sitting eating a hot dog, is one of my favorite images of the two of them. I shared it on Twitter and Instagram. I have an entire wall celebrating the dichotomy between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. They were both invented by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. They're both very out there characters, but in different directions. One's the underdog, one is a literal sorcerer supreme. It's a lot of fun pairing the two together. I think there's a lot of potential there. I do share the concerns that everyone else has with this being a Batman and Robin situation, with this being too much. I would have liked, ideally, Spider-Man to have a Harry Potter trajectory. After Spider-Man Homecoming, I really hoped we'd have sophomore year Spider-Man, junior year Spider-Man, senior year Spider-Man, college Spider-Man, post-college Spider-Man, Sinister Six. I thought incorporating one or two villains and then picking the six from those to have a Sinister Six movie would be amazing. You build your own Avengers in Spider-Man. Your Spider-Man Avengers would be the Avengers are the bad guys assembling against our hero. You have an Usual Suspects, Ocean's 11 type scenario where you care about the bad guys, like your Michael Keaton, like your Tom Hardy Venom, where you're invested in the bad guys. And then you have something really unique. You have a team up that's villain team up, and then Spider-Man's your antagonist protagonist. That would have been fascinating. I think they're doing something similar. They're just going at it a lot quicker. I think Michael Keaton is going to be assembling villains as soon as now, because he's already started with the Scorpion scene at the end of Homecoming, and we've already gotten like 5 villains in just 2 movies. Between Mysterio in the last one, who I'm almost certain is going to come back in the Sinister Six. Vulture obviously is going to come back in the Sinister Six. We've also got a Shocker, a secondary Shocker already, a Prowler, a Tinkerer, Morbius, Venom already introduced. Now we have in Spider-Man 3 the option for potentially Kraven amongst other villains. You could easily do a Sinister Six right now, but if you have 6 villains, I could see there being a need for a multiverse to bring in a Spider-Verse if they wanted to rush to that. These, for me, should be 2 separate events. I personally would have had a 5-movie lead up, have the 6th movie be Sinister Six for funsies, and have the 5 movies be sophomore year through college. And you don't have to do 1 movie per year, but you could have. You could have had the Harry Potter experience, and then after college, Sinister Six. I also personally would have led up to the 2nd arc as a multiverse with Spider-Verse, because Tom Holland's going to want to play this role for a long time. You could have had an adult Tom Holland playing that Spider-Man, incorporated Miles, incorporated Ben Reilly, incorporated all the different dimensions of Spider-Verse. There is hope that we can maybe see Ben Reilly now, because you can't have a clone movie yet, but what you can do is have a clone be introduced in the concept of the Spider-Verse. And I think with the Doctor Strange announcement, this is all but confirmed. So Michael Keaton, I joked, was going to be gathering villains in one universe with the Sinister Six and gathering heroes in the other universe with DC's Batverse. And that could lead to the Amalgam universe. That'll never happen. But man, oh man, is it a fun dream. So this Doctor Strange announcement is all but confirming a lot of very, very big things. And I'm very excited to see all of that come together in a Sinister Six or Multiverse, Spider-Verse situation. I am in. So I want to know what you guys think of the ramifications of this. Leave comments. The chat I'm going to try to get to, but leave comments for sure, because I will definitely see those. And I think Doctor Strange all but confirms a multiverse, a Spider-Verse, and a Sinister Six verse with just 1 casting. I am excited to see Benedict Cumberbatch's. I am excited to see Spider-Men. And I'm very excited to see what this is. I just hope it's at least a 2.5-hour movie, because there's going to be a lot going on. And I do think the follow-up to Spider-Man 3 might be Sinister Six as soon as the next movie. Time will tell. Let me know what you guys think. We got some comments in the chat. We got Joe O'Keefe. I am just about to finish a very nice bottle of wine. Ooh, pray tell. Going to go find some whiskey soon. Koi Pond stream just starting. Life is good. That makes me very happy, sir. That sounds like an excellent Friday. I know you're in Ireland, so you're already deep into your Friday. We're doing comic books and craft beer tonight with this comic book right here. This is Saga. This is a beautiful Fiona Staples drawing I have on my chest. And that will be kicking off at 7:30 p.m. where we've got a dragon-themed beer situation tonight, where we are doing Dragon's Milk in honor of Matthew Picardat. I think that's how you say his last name. Matthew Picardat and Ian Roth, who strongly recommended the Dragon's Milk. We are doing Golden Drock in honor of the great, great first patron of my wall with the Doctor Strange art, John Getz, and then AJ Lancaster, who's just the man. And then we are going to be doing a cold brew Jameson as well for Jason Ritchie. So tonight will be drink heavy and Saga glorious, and it kicks off at 7:30. So I hope to see you all there. It will be fun, and we're just here for the Friday, y'all. We are kicking it off. And then we got, my mom's in the chat, CLKO, Smack Talk, putting in the work. Now we got Jesus saying, getting my comics this Sunday on my birthday. Remember, y'all, it's Jesus Gastelum's birthday. We talked about turning 22 on Tuesday's show and how important that is. Some goodies like Spider-Man 850, the Bruce Timm variant. Hell yes, that issue. I haven't picked up my 850 yet, so I can't talk about it. I'm very excited to read it, though. And Spawn 312, the Chadwick Boseman tribute variant. Also, great news on Doctor Strange being in Spider-Man 3. I love that Todd did a Chadwick Boseman variant. I think Spawn is the perfect character for that variant. I think it's really beautiful, that tribute. I think it's so important. I love that Marvel's doing the banners in honor of Chadwick. They did them for Stan Lee. Now they're doing them for the King of Wakanda himself. And one of the best people we find out more and more every week, Chadwick Boseman. So I think that's great. And Bruce Timm variant at 850 is gorgeous. So enjoy those books, good sir. For those at home, Amazing Spider-Man 49 is also 850. And we got up to 801. Now we're at 850. Legacy numbering is important but frustrating for new readers, but it is a way to keep track of everything that's going on. So 850 is out this Wednesday. The end of today's episode, when I go through my favorite comics from last week, are some of my favorite books all year. This week was one of the best books of indie comics ever. This week was insane. But I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man yet, so I don't know if it counts as my top of the week, but I will be sharing my favorite books I've read this week at the end of the episode. I am very excited. All right, we got Roman Carlyle. Hey, Coy, I'm looking for some classic Wolverine comic run suggestion. Wolverine has had incredible arcs in his own self-titled stuff. I would check out, first of all, check out the Frank Miller Wolverine. It's a 4-issue run. It is some of the most iconic, important, soulful Ronin experiences with him in Japan, and you understand his history. I personally am not big on X-Men Origins Wolverine, the movie or the comic. I don't like the origin stuff. The Kubert art was pretty, but I don't like his origin. I liked it better when it was a mystery. I'd say the early stuff in the long running, I think it went up to 183 issues, but the early stuff where you get to meet Sabretooth for the first time at issue like 11. You're with Patch, on the island. You're with Hulk. I'd say that first run of X-Men that started in the 90s. So 1988, I want to say, is Frank Miller's 4-issue miniseries. And I want to say 1990, 1991 is when his new run kicks off. Any of that is going to be exceptional. And also there is a miniseries that's full of anthology books that are either like 1 or 2 issues that don't really tie to other books. They're one-shots called Savage Wolverine that has some really beautiful art and they're really unique independent stories. But really, you can read a lot of Wolverine and have a good time. Just look for a book that's got Wolverine in the title, look to complete an arc, dive in, see what writer wrote it. If you liked it, pick up more. If you didn't, find another guy, look at the art. One of my favorites of all time is John Romita Jr. on art, and it's Wolverine, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then Wolverine, like America's Most Wanted or something. He basically gets brainwashed and kills a bunch of people, and he's being hunted by S.H.I.E.L.D. Check those out. I forget the name of the arc off the top of my head, but Wolverine, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that. Like, look for John Romita Jr. art with Wolverine and also the early stuff in the late 80s, early 90s. I hope that helped. That was a decent amount of info dump, but I hope it made sense. Those are the Wolverine runs I really personally quite enjoy. We are going to, busting out Jameson alongside comic books and craft beer makes me very, very happy. In fact, I got to hydrate. So before I drink alcohol, this is not my first water, but it's my first fizzy water because it's delicious. Always hydrate before, during, and after. Stay safe. Very important. All right, over to more news, post-doc Strange. If you guys have any questions, I do have many theory. If you're watching this and missed last week's episode, that was kind of the precursor to all the ranting I just did. So check out last Friday's episode and then this rant, and that's where I think it's going. But also Twitter, Instagram, etc. I will try to get to things. Oh, except Instagram, my DMs are crazy. They're so full. So not Instagram. Try Twitter. I got overwhelmed last time I tried to get on my Instagram. Twitter is the best place. All right. On the world of DC, we've got confirmation from Patty Jenkins herself, who would certainly know that they will not be playing Wonder Woman 1984 on streaming. That rumor comes up at least twice a week. It's been refuted every time, but finally Patty Jenkins came out and said, no, it's not going to be at HBO Max. It is not coming to streaming. That is a movie made for theater. It's already been moved almost as much as New Mutants was. It is deserved of the movie theater. It is a spectacle. It is a summer blockbuster if there ever was one, or a winter blockbuster if that's what ends up happening. But it is a spectacle film that deserves to be seen in theaters. Patty Jenkins officially said, no, we're not putting it on streaming. That is the way it's meant to be seen on the theater. So yes. As someone who is a big lover of cinema and who thinks that there are 100 years of movies and literally more hours of TV and film available right now on any one streaming service, much less all of them, than you could possibly consume, I want these movies in theaters. So Wonder Woman 1984 is staying in the cinema where it belongs, which makes me very happy. Patty Jenkins, you're a saint. Thank you very much for standing your ground. And I hope Warner Brothers is as supportive, because I know they want to make the money they need to make. We're going to talk about Soul in a little bit, and I'm crushed about Soul, but we'll talk about that. My soul is crushed. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Wonder Woman 1984 belongs in the cinema and will remain there. I'm very excited. But you know what is coming to streaming? And this is why movies like Wonder Woman 84 need to stay in theaters, because we're getting Green Lantern, a 10-episode series coming to HBO Max. We are going to be getting hours and hours and hours of content made for TV, meant to be seen on that size screen. I still would love if they played it in theaters somewhere. I went and saw Stranger Things in theaters when I could. I saw Breaking Bad every time they screened some of it. I'm a theater guy. But when it's meant to be seen on the small screen, I cannot complain. That is where it's meant to be. Green Lantern is a streaming HBO Max original, and they just released some plot details for it today, and it surprised a lot of people because it features Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern ever, Simon Baz, and Jessica Cruz is going to be the Green Lantern team. You'll notice two names that everyone on the internet are talking about are missing, and one name that I'm talking about are missing. If you guys know me, you know this name, but the two names that are most notable from the pantheon of Green Lantern are Jon Stewart, the animated series legend, and one destined to be the big Green Lantern of the big screen, and the great Hal Jordan, the original Green Lantern of most of our hearts. Alan Scott was a Golden Age hero. Hal Jordan is the modern silver, the Green Lantern for a lot of folk. And that was also the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, which is maybe why they want to put a little distance. But Hal Jordan was the character everyone assumed to be a part of the movie. This leads me to believe, introducing this many Green Lanterns that are more modern, we might just get the handoff from Hal Jordan straight to Jon Stewart. Hal Jordan might be a cameo or smaller piece of the puzzle. I know they've talked about a buddy cop presence, and maybe we'll get a buddy cop with Hal Jordan already established as the Green Lantern, and then Jon Stewart is the new rookie. Basically, Green Lantern is space cop, so you can easily do a buddy cop movie. I could see Jon Stewart be the reckless new buddy cop, and then the too old for this shit Tom Cruise, Hal Jordan being he's not confirmed, it's just been rumored long enough that I think maybe, as the other cop. That I could easily see. Neither of those are mentioned here. I think they're going to get cameos, or they'll be in season 2 after they've had the movie and going to tie in here. But Guy Gardner surprised me. Alan Scott doesn't quite surprise me. I'm hoping it would also be great. He's a homosexual character in the comics. It'd be great to have some of that representation for the Green Lantern and on an HBO Max show, as well as Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, who are newer Green Lanterns representing the core on TV, is going to be very exciting. But the one name that isn't being mentioned, which is bullshit, is my guy, Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern. He is an artist. He's the most creative Green Lantern, whereas Hal Jordan has will. Kyle has creativity. He was a 90s Green Lantern. He's around in the time of Ben Reilly, which is part of the thing. Like, that's my era of starting to read comic books. Kyle Rayner's awesome. He's also a very important character to a lot of people, and I really hope he either pops up on the show or, more importantly, the movie. I'd love if the movie was Jon Stewart, Kyle Rayner. I think we've had Hal Jordan in lots, and he could be the legendary figure that we don't really know that well. He could be a cameo. I want Kyle Rayner and Jon Stewart in the movie. Fingers crossed. Either way, the show is also going to feature Sinestro and Kilowog, which makes me think the budget's crazy. I know the CW's gotten better. I know basically Stargirl showed me that the budget could be insane on the right platform with DC. But with DC Universe being canceled, what budget is the HBO Max show going to be? They're putting $70 million into the Snyder Cut, which is 2 or 3 indie films or a small blockbuster or 10 or more Blumhouse films into one movie's reshoot. So they're throwing a lot of money at the DC Universe. I could easily see HBO becoming their superhero hub, which they're very popular. That's what we're talking about. I'm excited about another superhero hub. So if they throw a lot of money at this thing, Kilowog's going to be expensive to make. Sinestro could be very expensive to make look good. I hope they put the right money towards those characters. I hope to put the right money towards the Green Lantern tech. Green Lantern is a very expensive character to put on screen. This is a 10-episode series. 10 episodes. That's 10 hours of CGI. That's 10 hours of prosthetics. That's 10 hours of suits. Don't make it animated. There's a lot of potential here. I'm very hopeful, but a little reluctant. It's going to be written by Seth Grahame-Smith, who's very, very well versed in the world of comic books, who's worked on a lot of these properties before. I'm intrigued. Time will tell, but I am excited that they're mixing it up and not just doing a Hal Jordan show. And we've had that rumor since I was doing Collider Heroes. Since Collider Heroes, we've been saying it's going to be a different batch of Green Lanterns. Now it's confirmed. Once again, Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, Simon Baz, and Jessica Cruz. Now the question is who they cast as Guy Gardner to be a douchebag but still likable. That is a tricky casting line. Time will tell what that's going to be. But Green Lantern coming up on HBO Max is exciting stuff. And yeah, we will see. It's coming, and it's insane that it's coming. And we're living in such a golden age of comic books. When people complain, I don't understand why you'd be upset. We're getting our cake and eating it too with TV and film. But that's neither here nor there. I want to throw it over to the Streamlabs. We got one from Mr. Michael McCarcel. I saw in the chat right before we went live that you lost power. I hope you're good. I know you're on your phone right now, but you got unlimited data. Good man. welcome via data to this show. Hope you get your power back soon, man. I'm pretty salty they're using Guy Gardner, but not Jon Stewart. Honestly, I think they're saving him for the movie. Honestly, I think the movie is going to be their tentpole, and the show is going to be a lead up. I think that Jon Stewart is someone that everyone's waited so long for. I'm salty, but I'm hoping that it's for the greater good. And I'm hoping they get an actor that we all want and maybe wouldn't commit to a 10-hour show. Maybe they're getting someone like huge to play him in the movie, and we're just like holding out. I mean, how great would Yahya be? I know he's already 2 DC characters, but Yahya'd be incredible. Everyone's already said Idris. I know that's been going around for a while. After his incredible, outspoken public civil rights marches, I've been so impressed with John Boyega. I'd love to see John Boyega. There's a lot of actors that might not do 10 hours of TV that would do a franchise movie and sequels. So that could be why, but I was bummed to hear no Jon Stewart as well. And we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait for the show and then the movie and all these casting announcements. But this also maybe gives us a hint at what the next fandom's going to be, because all the movies got pushed. So I saw this joke and it made me laugh. Fandom next year is just going to be a rerun because we're just moving everything a year. So maybe stuff like this will start to pick up. We'll get some HBO Max shows. We'll have a lot more stuff in streaming while we're all quarantined, while we're all stuck at home. Maybe that's what fandom's going to be next year, because this is promising. I also love that Jon Stewart was trending. 2 of my favorite people are named Jon Stewart. One's a Green Lantern. One is America's Lantern and Glowing Light. So I love that Jon Stewart, both of them were on my timeline today, making me very, very happy. But time will tell. I love Jon Stewart. I love them both. All right, more news in the world of comic books. On the less fun side, streaming, soon, Christmas, Soul. These are all words that should make me very happy, but they don't. Soul was, if you guys remember D23 last year, Soul has been my most anticipated animated film since How to Train Your Dragon 3. I love the concept of it. I love that it's an existential crisis in film. I love that they've done Inside Out about emotions. This looks like Outside In about what it means to be human. I love that the music represents so much emotion, because I feel very strongly about music. I love the cast. Daveed Diggs in a Pixar film, you're goddamn right. I loved everything about this film. I love the animation style. I love all of that. I wanted to see it properly. I would rather wait until 2024 and see it at the LCAP. Now, I know parents are home with their kids, and I know that going to the movie theater with families is $150. I get all that. But there's so much on Disney Plus. It's not like there's nothing to put on Christmas. They're doing it on Christmas. The one good thing is it's going to be the same price. You're not paying the $30 surcharge. I don't know how it could possibly make money. They're not going to have enough new subscribers for more than a month or two to possibly buoy an entire animated feature budget. But it's not like Disney doesn't have money. I know they've been hemorrhaging money with their parks closed. I hope this gamble pays off. I know Disney has always been in the profit with a B, and I know that's not the case lately. But putting a tentpole Pixar film, my most anticipated Pixar in probably 4 or 5 years, like a long time. I am so excited for this film. Straight to Disney Plus is a real bummer for me. We'll see. It's coming out on Christmas. It's going to be free if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. It's going to be available nationwide, and they're rolling out Disney Plus to more and more countries. This is a great thing for parents at home with their kids, but it's a really rough thing for exhibitors, for fans of the cinema, for employees of the cinema, for the future of cinema. I'm very bummed. But Christmas, Soul, I'll be watching it. I've got Disney Plus. I'm excited to see it, just not in the way I wanted. So expect a review of that coming to this channel around Christmas as soon as I can get my hands on it. Now that I know it's not going to theater, I will immediately stream it as soon as someone sends me like a press screening or something. I won't be like, I'm going to wait until the theater, because it's not happening. So Soul coming soon. Christmas. Thirsty and disappointed. Okay. Moving on to The Boys. I'm going to stay spoiler free. I'm going to just talk about broad strokes. It came out last night. Today is Friday. It is the first full day of it airing. Drops at midnight, drops a little early. And over here, drops at 9 p.m. Also, that drops a little early. The Boys is arguably one of the best comic book adaptations of all time, because it's one of the few that understands the strengths and weaknesses of the source material and only leans into the strengths. If it's got a weakness, it either doesn't put it in the adaptation or it strengthens it. It is a pitch perfect commentary on everything that's going on today. What I'm most impressed about consistently is this comic came out in 2006, and it was so soothsaying, so prescient that it was able to predict what the world was going to become. And now in 2020, it feels like it's got a lens on us, and they filmed it last year. I did a set visit last October, and they were doing the penultimate episode. Last October, last fall, I was in Toronto for episode 7. There's an article on Collider. You can read my entire set visit. It was incredible. I got to talk to the cast, got to watch stunts happen. I got to see them filming. I got to walk through the 7 set. I got to sit at the 7 desk. I got to experience the statues, and in real life, they actually built those mammoth statues. I got to be a part of a Derek Robertson drawing. It was insane. The show is so good that it not only makes you remember the best parts of the comic, but it actually improves on the comic in making our world reflected better. It's not a superhero show in the snarky commentary and superhero content. It's not just like adding the word fuck to a superhero show. It's a commentary on us by way of making fun of our pop culture zeitgeist, which just happens to be superhero content right now. Like, Eric Kripke could have made a show that was just a commentary on the world in any genre, but superheroes are so popular, that was the best one, and The Boys was the best thing to adapt. I think Seth Rogen is one of the slept-on producers of our age. He's picking up some of the best stuff and making it incredible. I think The Boys has been transcendent. The fact that we're able to talk about everything from racism and sexism and biases in journalism to Nazis to the concept of what right and wrong is when you have power, to weaponizing people, to the military, to all of this with a tongue-in-cheek, very funny commentary on America is inspired. Now, this isn't a spoiler, but there's a shot in the last episode. I can say the last shot of Homelander in the last episode. You know Homelander's going to show up. That's not a spoiler. The last shot of Homelander is a direct shot from one of my favorite issues of the comics down to the framing, and I could not believe they put it on screen. I guffawed out loud and was so happy that was the last moment of season 2 with Homelander. And I love this show so very, very much. But I also think the way season 2 ends, we're going to get a really fucked up Jensen Ackles in season 2. Jensen Ackles is playing the Captain America parallel. Homelander is Superman. Jensen Ackles is Soldier Boy, which is Captain America. He's Soldier Boy, who's been around since the 40s. He's a superhero from that time. And there are certain things that happen in season 2 that make me think that Soldier Boy is going to be a very important character, and they obviously wouldn't waste Jensen Ackles. But also, I think he's going to be even more of a fucked up commentary on this country than Homelander, which is saying something. The writing is pitch perfect. It's a beautiful way to look at our flaws. The comedy is incredible because you laugh and then feel nauseous at laughing and then laugh again. The pacing's brilliant. I'm almost never on my phone while I'm watching that show. The cast is impeccable. Tomer Capone is one of my people I want for Moon Knight. I think Tomer Capone is a goddamn genius. He plays Frenchie. But everyone's great. Aaron Moriarty, Jack Quaid, obviously Carl Urban, who is the character of Bill Butcher. Mother's Milk is goddamn inspired. I love Laz Alonso. That guy's a fucking trip. He's one of my favorite people to talk to, ever. Nathan Mitchell, who plays Black Noir, is one of the most well-spoken, articulate actors ever, and it's so ironic that he's Black Noir because he didn't get to speak, but he's such a thoughtful man. So seeing the way his brain works when he's moving is such a funny thing. Meeting him made me appreciate Black Noir so much more. Karen I think it's Fukuhara. I'm not sure if I say her last name. Karen Fukuhara, who also is in Suicide Squad, is so bubbly and warm and charming and fun, and you get to see a little of that in season 2, but mainly you just see the beast that is the female. But Karen is a delight. This season you got to see a little bit more, and I love that they didn't go bigger, they went broader, and I talk about that in the article too. They dive into these characters and build the world out instead of just more explosions, and it doesn't ignore. And there's so many ramifications that happened in the first season of this season. I think season 3 is going to be the same, and we're going into a 2-show VOTverse. I was the first person to use hashtag VOTverse. Yes. We're getting a VOTverse where they have a spinoff with the G-Men, and the G-Men are effectively the X-Men of the Boys universe. basically Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters meets Van Wilder. It's going to be fucked up and awesome. I cannot wait for that show. So between season 3 with Soldier Boy as Jensen Ackles, where the season 2 leaves off, and then the G-Men show, we're in for a good, weird time. Lamplighter, you guys know from public knowledge, is in season 2. I thought they handled that character brilliantly. That was a lot of the thing I was talking about in my set visit. I know Sean Ashmore quite a bit, and Sean Ashmore really loves superhero content. He's been around it since Animorphs. He was in the Animorph show, and then obviously Iceman, and he's done a bunch of superhero content. So he's a fan of comic books. We talked about that. He commended my phone case because it was Deadpool, and we talked about Deadpool. But he's a really big fan of comic books. So it was good to see someone invested talking about super suits, translating from X-Men to now. But overall, season 2 really impressed me. I liked it as much as season 1. And if you guys remember, season 1, I thought was the best thing to happen to superhero content until Watchmen came out and changed my take on TV. So if Watchmen's not your bag, The Boys probably will be. And for my money, those 2 shows, both being superhero shows and being my top 1 and 2 shows here in 2019 is incredible. For me, nothing comes close to The Boys season 2 this year. Now, I haven't seen Lovecraft Country yet, and I think that's going to be in the realm of glory. But for everything I'm watching, The Boys is far and away the best show of 2020, and I'm in love. So if you haven't seen The Boys season 2 yet, that was a spoiler-free take. I might do a spoiler review on Tuesday. If you guys are interested, let me know, comment, and I will do spoilers. It just dropped today, so I don't want to be a dick. So if you guys want a spoiler review, comment below this video so I know that's what you want, and I will do it on Tuesday. If you're just like, I know what he thinks, cool, we'll move on. But that is an option for Tuesday's show. Do let me know, and I will go accordingly. The Boys season 2, good golly, Miss Molly. And I would argue the finale is as good as many complete feature films. I'm very, very excited. So check out The Boys. It is on Amazon. It is free if you're an Amazon Prime member, and it'll change your life. All right, we're going to talk about Modok, and then we're going to talk about the Invincible trailer. Now, Modok. Fizzy water. I'm so sorry. That was rude. Glad there's no mic here. Would have been real loud. Modok is a machine designed only for killing, and it is a ridiculous character. It is the late, great John Schnepp's favorite character because he is a preposterous character, and that is what John loved most. The character of Modok is something that I've been wanting to see for a very long time in the MCU, and they actually tried to put him in other properties, and they kept saying no and like putting him like off, and now we know why. We're getting a stop-motion animation Modok show on Hulu from a wildly talented cast, including Patton Oswalt. The photos they just released on Entertainment Weekly. If you haven't seen them, they just came out like 2 hours ago. Look them up. They're on Entertainment Weekly. They look incredibly funny. Like just stills of day-to-day, mundane, laissez-faire life as Modok looks so funny. He's a machine designed only for killing. He's a giant head, man. It's so good. Also, the Avengers game, I'm not sure if that's where they're going to land, but his head's getting bigger. I thought he was going to be the leader, and now I think he's going to be Modok. I don't know. He's in a floating chair, and his head's real big. So they saved Modok for clearly very important aspects of the MCU and or the shared Marvel universe that Hulu and the game are going to encompass. So I'm glad we're getting Modok now, perhaps 2 of them. The photos are great. It looks hilarious. Just with stills, I was laughing, which is always a good sign. Signing off. I'm all in. Yes, please. Hulu, give me that Modok. I think it's probably going to drop, I'd guess, Q2 of 2021. We don't have a release date yet, but I'd imagine that's going to be like a March, April, maybe as late as May, Hulu drop. But time will tell. I don't do stop-motion. Could be next October for all I know, but I really hope it's soon. It looks funny. It looks like a spring show. I don't know what about it looks like a spring show, but it looks like a spring show. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. I'm thinking March, April for Modok. Very, very excited. Speaking of shows, I never thought would see the light of day. For years, it has been rumored we were getting an Invincible show. We've also still got rumors of an Invincible movie that is live action tying into the same universe as the animated. I don't know how that works, but that's what I've been hearing. Anyway, we got an Invincible trailer for the animated series. Now, the Invincible animated series is one of the best casts I have ever seen, live action or animated. The Invincible animated series is going to be R-rated. It's going to be just like the comic, which is one of the most R-rated comic books in the fun, violent sense. There are plenty more R-rated comics in like sexual and gratuitous violence, but this is a comic that's like a superhero comic, but the violence in it is so intense and grotesque. that it really like jars you. Ryan Ottley goes there, man. It's written by Robert Kirkman, who is part of this is a Skybound shirt, who runs Skybound, who invested after Walking Dead, did gangbusters and Skybound, and made one of the best entertainment networks out there. Now he's putting that towards TV shows and lots of other content. Skybound is also one of the people that help us out with the Schmodown. I love Skybound. I've worked for Skybound independently of any of my networks. Actually, that's how I got this shirt. I've worked with Skybound on a few things. I've done a bunch of voice work for Skybound. If you guys check out it's called the Iconic line. So I talk about why Deadpool's iconic, why the Bat Signal's iconic, lots of stuff for over Skybound. I love those folks. My point is, Kirkman is a very good businessman, and he's very good at shaping his entire creative outlet into new pieces of art. And this TV show looks like it's going to be that. The cast is Stephen Yeun as Invincible / Mark Grayson, J.K. Simmons, inspired choice, as Omni-Man / Nolan Grayson, his dad, Sandra Oh, Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien is like Downey Jr. good casting. I cannot wait for that. Obviously, Seth Rogen is producing Everything Glorious, so he's also involved in this. Jillian Jacobs of Community is Adam E. love interest. Andrew Reynolds as William Clockwell, Zazie Beetz as Amber Bennett, Walton Goggins as Cecil Stedman, so good. Jason Mantzoukas as Rex Sloan / Rex Splode. That dude steals everything he's in. I'm so excited. Mae Whitman as Fight Master and Dropkick. It goes on and on. Carrie Payton, Zach Quinto, Greg Griffin. Like, this cast is absolutely insane. Mahershala Ali as Titan. Ross Marquand is the Immortal. And Aquarius. Ross Marquand is one of the best voice actors in the world and one of the best impressionists ever, and he's also Red Skull. He's a goddamn genius. I know the guy a little bit. He's a fantastic human. This cast is crazy. So check out the trailer for Invincible if you haven't seen it yet. It is an insane comic book that is 3 omnibuses. They're actually holding up my Deadpool because Deadpool was too low to be on screen, so I had to put them on big books. A third of Invincible is this much. It's 160 issues or thereabouts, and maybe like 150 something. It's a lot of comics. So there's 50 issues in each one of these beastly tomes. And it's such an incredible run. It's also a run that is just Robert Kirkman and Ron Otley for 90% of it. There's the occasional sub-in artist, but it is a strong, long-running run. It's like Spider-Man in tone with lots more violence. Invincible and Spider-Man actually teamed up once when Image and Marvel did crossover. It's a really good time. It's actually Hector Navarro, friend of the show, friend of the me, Hector Navarro's favorite comic of all time. So Invincible is worth checking out. Check out the comic. Check out the show. Love art. Invincible is really, really good shit. I hope you dig it. But yeah, check it out. Read the comic. All right. We talked about Green Lantern earlier, and we talked about Invincible just now. We got some Modok goodness. I think we did all the news. Let's talk about some comic books, you lovelies. We, this week, have so many good comics. Y'all are going to think, if you're a patron, you're like, yo, I'm a patron so I can find out the ratings Coy gives. This is all the comics. No. There was just like 15 comics. I only give people that top 9 are only the comics that are B+, A-, A. I very rarely give an A+. B+, A-, and A make my top 9. It is sometimes hard to fill that 9. It is usually like 3 or 4 B+, the occasional A-, and like, whoa, an A. I'm very picky with A's. A+ are so rare. Mr. Miracle is one of them, and that's an outlier. But this week, there were so many A's that's all the 9. If you go to my Instagram or Twitter for the grid, that is 9 comics that are all A's, and then there's some B+ because finally X of Swords is hitting for me. X of Swords 1 and 2 I did not enjoy. Was not feeling it. X of Swords 3, 4, and 5 came out this week. Feeling it. So let's talk about those. Let's dive into some comic books. My favorites from Wednesday, October 7th? Yeah, today's the 9th. Wednesday, October 7th. My favorite comic books from Wednesday, October 7th were as follows. Adventure Man number 4. This is a genius Rocketeer-esque take on superheroes that has so much brilliant storytelling about storytelling. I love the lead. I love the world it's building. I love the art. The Dodsons are geniuses. I love Terry and Rachel Dodson. I love this book. It is one of my favorite new series. It's over at Image. Adventure Man. You're only 4 issues behind. Pick up Adventure Man 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will not be disappointed. It is a great book. American Vampire 1976 number 1, a new title on the DC Black Label from the great Scott Snyder. This was like a B+ for me. I really enjoyed the pacing. I really enjoyed the style they're going for. Didn't catch me with issue 1, but I know it will hook me as we go along, so it made the list because I think it's going to be a series I really dig. Issue 1 was good, wasn't exceptional, but it was really strong start, so I think it's going to get to exceptional. You just got to lay a lot of groundwork. Batman number 100, solid A- for me. Batman number 100 was a great conclusion to the War of the Joker. It was a lot of concluding many strings and threads that have been laid out. I love the new costume and how they used it. I'm not going to give anything away. I love how they used the new costume. I really, really have dug this arc. James Tynion IV is writing incredibly well on indies and Batman alike. This was a great conclusion. It's really hard to stick the landing in this big of an event. All right, Black Widow number 2. This is one of my favorite Black Widow titles in years, and it's only on issue 2. There's some great stuff with Black Widow, and I can't give anything away about what's happening to her, but it's a great way to see Black Widow in a new light. The art is stunning. There's some great interactions with Hawkeye and Bucky. It feels like an espionage book. The book has this really cool kinetic energy where it feels like a spy movie. Highly recommend Black Widow. It's only on issue 2. A lot of these books are really accessible because you only got to pick up a couple issues. Black Widow 2, it's right there. That's easy. Coffin Bound number 7. Holy shit. Coffin Bound is weird. Imagine if Ernest Hemingway and Hunter S. Thompson did a lot of acid together, and then they talked about God as a drug, and then the ramifications of the opioid of the masses, which is religion, affecting you in a more literal sense while you're running from physical manifestations of concepts reflecting Native American folklore. And in this particular issue, a single choice causing a schism of two different realities, and then a decision needs to be made, and those realities are represented in inverted color, and you experience this entire book like you're tripping. It's a fucking time. It's so good. Coffin Bound, issue number 7. Deceased, Dead Planet, number 4. Tom Taylor and Trevor Hairsine, geniuses, the pair of them. Got to talk to them with Mainframe Comic-Con. Big fan of both those gents. This issue in particular, not only is Tom Taylor a genius at making you care about characters so much that even in a zombie book, you're like, such heart. This is a Mr. Miracle-centered issue, and Mr. Miracle is my guy, so I got to give some love to this issue. All the heart of Tom Taylor, all the beautiful art of Hairsine with Mr. Miracle. Goddamn right. Decorum number 5. Decorum is a book about assassins and their decorum, or their creed, if you will, an Assassin's Creed. It's a book about an assassin code and the pedigree of this group of assassins, but they're international, interdimensional assassins, and they're fighting all sorts of different creatures, and they're killing all sorts of different creatures. And this is almost like a Hogwarts or Xavier School of Training, but it's got concepts like, what does eternity mean, and what does life represent, and what does it mean to kill, and do you feel that, and why? And it's got a lot of really broad concepts, but those concepts are illustrated through like watercolor and abstract digital art, while the comic itself is more of a normal hand-drawn style, and the colorist is doing more abstractions. This book is such a trip too, man. I was on the trippy shit this week. I really enjoyed the trippiness of these week's comics. Decorum number 5 is a solid A. This might be my favorite issue of Decorum to date. Decorum number 5 from Image Comics. I believe it's Image. It's definitely not Marvel or DC. It's a weird-ass book. Far Sector number 8. I love this book. This issue was decent for me. It was a B+. I like this comic, but this issue was like, okay, this is kind of where I expected it to go. But overall, I'm loving this run, so it's included because I want more people picking up Far Sector. It's a great space cop, cop on the edge, beat cop story, but with a really cool new take on the Green Lantern Corps. I'm really digging this run, and the art is gorgeous. Jamal Campbell's art is stunning. Firepower number 4. Firepower is my favorite new ongoing of 2020. I think Strange Adventures is my favorite mini, but my favorite ongoing is Firepower. Firepower is basically Mr. Mom meets Karate Kid meets X-Men. A lot of X-Men are coming up today because we're going to talk about the X-Men book, but it's got like the Human Torch-esque power coming out of the discipline of martial arts, meets a dad raising a family, and his wife also knows martial arts, and she's a cop without powers, and there's this great history. It's like a better Iron Fist story. It's a really good book. Also from Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman's a goddamn genius. Chris Samney on art. Chris Samney's beautiful, clean lines. The martial arts feel like they flow between the panels. Very stunning book. My new title of the year, 2020, is Firepower, only on issue 4. We've also got Marauders number 13. All right, now we're to the X of Swords stuff. I keep seeing X of Swords questions. I am definitely excited for the X of Swords book to have me now that I'm interested. I personally have not enjoyed the big events in X-Men for a bit. I liked House of Hoxpox okay. I liked the new Ground Zero it set, but the books afterward, like, they're really hit or miss for me. I've liked most of them, but the ones I haven't liked, I'm like, ooh, I got to keep reading this because it's an X-Men continuity, and I hate that. When there's like 13 books, you're like, well, I like 8 of them, but I got to read these 5. Anyway, this has finally turned into a positive for me. Marauders is my favorite of these 3 issues because it's a Storm-centric story, and it's Storm going to retrieve a sword from Wakanda. You'll see why when you read it. And it's such a great story of what it means to be a goddess, of what it means to be in government, what it means to be in power, what it means to be a hero. It's a really powerful story of gravitas, and it's a Storm-centric story, and I love Storm. She doesn't get enough credit. So I really enjoyed Marauders number 13. One of my books of the week, faux show. Also available this week is Mr. Miracle, the deluxe edition. I don't have it because I've already bought Mr. Miracle on trade paperback and hardcover, and I was like, shit, I can't afford to buy it a 3rd time, but I might. I shouldn't. I have other shit I need more. But Mr. Miracle Deluxe Edition, it looks so good. The presentation, the style of printing, the cover is stunning. It's such a beautiful piece of work. Mr. Miracle Deluxe Edition, if you don't own it, it's one of my favorite comics of all time. It is all 12 issues. It's the only thing you need to read. It is literally beginning, middle, and end. It's one book. Check it out. Deluxe Edition dropped this Wednesday. It is stunning. All right, we only got a few more. Thor number 8. Donny Cates on Thor has been an incredible run. This was a 2-issue little insert between one big arc with Nick Klein and the next big arc with Nick Klein. This is about people being able to wield the power of the hammer and not necessarily be worthy. Everyone can pick up the hammer right now, and Thor's trying to figure that out. It's a really cool, different take on Thor. This issue had so much heart. Iron Man's in it. There's a new character that you immediately love. It's a really good time. Thor number 8. Again, you're not that far behind. Pick up Thor. I would argue this is the best Thor run, including Jason Aaron's, in like 10 years. I love Jason Aaron, but this book is so approachable and so much fun. Check it out. Donny Cates. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 2. A sci-fi space epic about gods in space that they don't encounter until they're dead, and they're harvesting them for organs to sell them for parts. It's a weird book. It's a high concept book. It's a strange book. I'm digging it. It's only on issue 2. We're going to see where it goes. And then finally, we're going to pair Wolverine 6 and X-Force 13 because it's a one punch. Wolverine 6 led directly into X-Force. It's about Wolverine getting the blade, the only blade that can cut him, by going actually to hell. Wolverine goes to hell to retrieve a blade, and it's his adventures through that and then meeting a new rival. If you're a fan of Wolverine, this is a really cool 1-2 punch of Wolverine story. Literally goes to hell. It's a really good time. I would definitely recommend, if you're trying to get into Wolverine, picking up this particular run. And if you like it, maybe you'll like the rest of X of Swords. I'm really hoping X of Swords stays as good as these 3 issues were. Again, 1 and 2, they were like C- for me. These 3 are B+, A-. I'm very in. I'm very excited. I'm very hopeful this run convinces me of a 22-issue event being worthwhile. But time will tell. All right, that is going to do it for the comic book recommendations. Literally 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 comics that I absolutely love came out this week. That doesn't happen. Like, I love comics, but there's often some stinkers. This book is a goddamn masterpiece this whole week. All about it. All right. Hopefully y'all are enjoying all of this goodness. Yeah. All right. I'm checking on the chat. Everybody seems safe. Everybody seems happy. Let's get over to what I'm watching and enjoying on the present. Currently watching West Wing Season 7, Episode 1 I'm watching this week. I'm finishing up West Wing before the reunion. There's a West Wing reunion on the 15th. I'm trying to watch an entire season of West Wing in a week. That's not going to happen, but that's what I'm currently watching. I'm about to watch I'm thinking of ending things for the great AJ Lancaster. That'll be my next review. But tonight, again, is comic books and craft beer, so it'll probably be later in the weekend. That is also what I'm watching. I'm watching Kingdom Season 1. I got a stationary bike for my birthday, so I'm watching Kingdom while on the bike, burning calories, getting ready to train. It's the best motivator. Big fan of that. And I'm also playing Marvel's Avengers whenever I have time. I haven't played all week, but that's also what I'm doing. So those are the things I'm currently consuming and enjoying. If you want to know what I thought of the other 30 comics that came out this week, check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, there's all my comics rated. For a little bit more, you can see what I rate every movie and TV show, as well as all the comics I have rated. And at that tier, you also get access to my patron-only podcast, where I review every movie I watch. I literally review every single movie, in addition to the other things I just listed. And you get access to the Discord, which is a rad place for comic fans to gather and talk all things comic books. And I jump in there twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. So All of that is over on my Patreon, in addition to a bunch of other stuff, which is all right there. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. I was really looking forward to the show this week because there was so much good news. I even know it's the first time I'm watching West Wing. Somehow I've never seen West Wing, so I'm enjoying the hell of it. I'm a huge Sorkin fan, and I think I was just too young for West Wing when it was on. First time watching West Wing, all about it. All right. I'm going to scoot. I want to keep this under an hour if at all possible. I'm going to check the Streamlabs real quick, make sure I didn't miss anybody over there. As ever, I said it on Tuesday's show, this is the only group of people I think on the internet, especially when it comes to comic books, that I haven't needed a moderator, and that is absolutely insane. So it is a really, really, really rad thing that y'all are that awesome. Roman Carlisle, do check out those Wolverine runs I recommended, and let me know what you think. I'm curious what you think about those. There's a current Wolverine title that's only on issue 6 you could also check out, and you might enjoy. It's got some great art. Storyline's been 80%. It's been very good, but there are stronger runs, but I have been enjoying it. So thank you to Roman Carlisle for the Streamlab. Thank you to Jesus, who we talked about what comics he's picking up on Sunday. And as always, thank you to Michael McCarsell with the Streamlab, talking about the lack of Jon Stewart. So thank you to the Streamlabs and the Super Chats. You guys help me eat. So it's very much appreciated. Tonight, remember, we are doing comic books and craft beer. We are going to talk Saga. We are going to talk Jameson Cold Brew. We're going to talk Dragon's Milk, and we're going to talk Golden Rock while we drink the 3 latter and discuss the 1 former. I am very, very excited. The most important question in the chat. It's been years. It's been years. I really want to make sure people get what they feel is their time and worth. And Catherine Smith is my newest patron, so she, I think, appreciates the time and worth of what I do. So that is why I don't sleep, Catherine. So I make sure people are entertained, and I hope it's worth it. I'm happily not sleeping, so I can happily keep y'all happily. I can happily keep y'all happily. I think one of those is supposed to be happy. No, I want to keep making stuff for y'all. So one day I will sleep. One day, and it will be good. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep making stuff. So 2 shows today, a review coming this weekend, bunch of Schmodown stuff coming up real soon. We got the team's title match with my boys, the Shazam duo, coming up next week. And I've got a bunch of other stuff to work on with Schmodown and all of the other things that I do every week, including the podcast and all that stuff. Also, if you guys are digging the podcast, there's a new format that just started with this week's episode where I'm basically deep diving into fan questions. So if you guys want to call in and have like a big question, I covered a question for an entire hour on the most recent podcast, talking about comics that made me like take a step back and really appreciate the medium that like took me back. So that was this week's episode. So we're doing a new format. So now is a great time to call in and ask those questions. I'm going to be recording on Monday. So if you got anything crazy, all of that is coming at you. I will see y'all in 2.5 hours at 7:30 for Saga and booze. And then I'll sleep tomorrow. Maybe Sunday. Pleasure, guys. I will see you soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you, as always, to Comic Books for existing. I'll see you with some sauce. Get a beer. Get some whiskey. Have fun.